Hello there, you're welcome to the news on NTA International, reaching you live from Abuja. My name is Tobiageli Gweke. We'll begin with the headlines. Nigeria remains focused on food security despite warning by Hydrological Services Agency aftermath of flooding in parts of the country. Role of traditional rulers in the fight against COVID-19 in Nigeria takes center stage. 85 judges take oath of office to entertain petitions that may arise from forthcoming governorship elections in Edo and Ondo states. Well, thank you for joining us. Nothing succeeds like success. These were the exact words by President Muhammadu Buhari to formally congratulate the newly re-elected president of the African Development Bank, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, who paid him a thank you visit. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu has the report.
Nigeria's Akinwumi Adesina had without doubt overcome stiff opposition to win an unprecedented 100% votes from both the regional and non-regional blocs that make up the African Development Bank to retain his position as president for a second term of 5 years. President Muhammadu Buhari had recommended Dr. Adesina and supported his election both in 2015 and this year, despite the differences in their political affiliation. The FDB president served as minister under the PDP government, and President Muhammadu Buhari belongs to the APC. Given reasons for his support, the Nigerian leader said Dr. Adesina is not only a good Nigerian and proved to be competent, but also made the nation proud. He used the opportunity to commend the bank's chief for the intervention by the financial institution in Nigeria and Africa, stressing that the infrastructural deficits the country has in roads, rail, and power could not be overcome without the support, and wished him all the best in his final term. The FDB president thanked President Buhari and Nigerians for their support, saying he is proud to be a citizen of Nigeria where his dream was born, nurtured, and supported for realization. He particularly appreciated the president for not only standing behind but also beside him, saying no greater honor for a man than for his commander-in-chief to be his supporter-in-chief and indeed his defender-in-chief. Dr. Adesina said Nigeria gave him air when he badly needed it, and therefore pledged to always support the country in his private capacity and as president of the African Development Bank. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
And on the quest for food security, President Muhammadu Buhari says the heightened global concern around food supply systems, notwithstanding his administration, will neither waver nor lose focus in its quest for food security. Speaking at a crucial meeting of the National Food Security Council, the president reassured farmers of government's continued support to the various food enhancement initiatives and many more to come. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo again has the details.
In spite of oil, agriculture remains the base of the Nigerian economy, providing the main source of livelihood for most Nigerians. But due to non-conservation and poor handling of agricultural produce and making it usable as food, feed, fiber, fuel, or industrial materials, the country is losing billions of naira annually. Agro-processing is regarded as the sunrise sector of the nation's economy in view of its potential for growth and likely socio-economic impact on employment and income generation. This is what the Association of Food and Agro-Processors is seeking from the Ministry of Science and Technology.
A lot of emphasis is on agriculture, farming, you understand? Now, we also want the government to look into the area of processing, because when the farmers produce and there's no processing, there's no storage, there's no preservation, we still cannot achieve that food security that the government is pushing for.
We want to diversify our economy, and we want to diversify our economy in a sustainable manner. And there is no better way to do it except deploying science, technology, and innovation, so that by developing research products, commercializing these research products, we'll be able to create new enterprises.
The association also wants government to introduce technology for the processing and packaging of food, crops, animal products with the aim of boosting shelf life, remain safe for consumption and retain nutritional value, and make available low cost and quality food processing equipment for the SMEs, which will entail post-harvest and processing practice for preservation and processing of agricultural produce to achieve food security. Hamman Jabani, NTA News.
That report was by Haman Jabani. We'll now take Adamu Sambo's report. President Muhammadu Buhari says the heightened global concern around food supply system, notwithstanding his administration, will neither waver nor lose focus in its quest for food security. Speaking at a crucial meeting of the National Food Security Council, the president reassured farmers of government's continued support to the various food enhancement initiatives and many more to come. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has the details.
The meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari was in response to the recent surge in food prices with the ability to threaten genuine efforts at achieving national food security. Events in the last 6 months, for instance, occasioned by COVID-19, the president said have demonstrated vulnerabilities to food supply systems around the world and exposed the limits of dependency on other countries. He said the wisdom by the federal government to promote self-sufficiency over the years helped significantly in averting food crises.
The nation thanks our farmers for rising to the occasion and answering our national call. I am pleased to note that most Nigerians are taking advantage of the opportunities in the agriculture and the agri-business sector. I want to assure you that this government will continue to support these initiatives and many more to come.
He described as delightful that in spite of the decline in GDP by 6.1% in the second quarter of 2020, the agricultural sector continued to grow because of government's targeted policies on agriculture.
While our key actors in the agricultural space are championing increased hectareages under cultivation, we need to pivot our attention and resources to how we can improve yield per hectare. This new shift will be a significant boost in our determination to strengthen our objective in achieving food security.
And to protect agricultural investments and boost farmers' confidence, the federal government deployed thousands of agro-rangers and integrated rural communities to the formal economy, while strategic grains reserves built and stocked from where significant quantities released to cushion the adverse impact of COVID-19 on vulnerable households and industries.
Unfortunately, the recent floods have adversely impacted our preparations. Lives were lost and livelihoods were wiped away. As a government, we will do all it takes to support those impacted by this disaster.
The Chief of Staff to the President, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, had informed President Buhari that he had earlier met with agricultural commodity associations to ascertain the root causes of the recent spike in food prices.
We have been informed that prices are actually currently on the decline as new grains have been introduced to the market. For example, new maize, which was previously sold at 25,000 naira per bag, is now being sold between 12,000 and 17,000 naira, and is expected to fall between 7,000 and 8,000 naira per bag by November 2020.
I'm confident that the commitment of the Nigerian government, ably led by President Muhammadu Buhari, and mobilization of all stakeholders, there's very strong expectation of high output during this harvest season. Because Nigerians are waking up to the belief that, yes, we should take pride in what we produce, and consume what we produce.
Apart from receiving update on presidential directives and initiatives aimed at protecting and further enhancing food security in Nigeria, the meeting was also briefed on the 2020 wet and dry seasons, economic sustainability interventions, humanitarian support, as well as agricultural development initiatives of the Central Bank of Nigeria. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
And joining us to sustain the discourse on food security and agro-processing is the membership coordinator, Jules Asu. Mr. Jules, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
How can food and agro-processing contribute to food security in Nigeria government?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for that question. Food and agro-processing is actually the missing link in the attempt by the federal government to address the issue of food security. Over the years, we've been focusing on, farming, increasing the output from the farm. But, research and data has shown us that there's been a lot of wastage between the farmer and the food table. And that is where food processing, which comprises preservation, storage, and processing, comes in. And it's a critical link that the Association of Food and Agro-Processors is poised to address. So that is the missing link, and that is what we are here to address. Thank you very much.
You've identified this food security as a vital point to address. Is your association taking advantage of the federal government's Nigeria-Brazil Agricultural Development Scheme?
Yes, of course. Yes, we like earlier today, we had a meeting with the federal minister, the Honorable Minister of Science and Technology, and he was very excited about the association, and he gave us, all the support of the federal government, with respect to all the policies in place, including the Executive Order number 5, which has to do with, 2050. So all of that are things that shows that we, as an association, we're just coming up. We are lining up, and we're taking advantage of everything the federal government is, giving us. Every platform they're giving us, we're taking full advantage of that, and we will surely help to address the food security issue in Nigeria.
How about equipment and other infrastructure that will help on storage and processing to meet international best practices? Okay,
thank you very much. Actually, in terms of equipment and infrastructure, our membership comprises people at every phase or at every step of the food value chain. So we have amongst our members those who are equipment manufacturers, of different grades. We have, even the Federal Institute of Industrial Research, Oshodi, is on our team. And there, they are into a lot of industrial machines research, which is currently being used. So we are ensuring that our goal, one of our major goals, in line with the federal government's objective, is to reduce, want to be able to reduce the spend on foreign exchange. And that is what the association is doing. So as we work together with the equipment manufacturers and other infrastructure that is on ground, we believe that we'll be able to help the federal government and help even the the food security question by ensuring we're able to locally source raw materials. We're able to source raw materials locally and thereby improve employment and create opportunities for the vast population of Nigerians.
Thank you very much, Mr. Aso. That will be all for now. And it's a good thing your association is aligning with the federal government's objective on food security.
Thank you very much.
And that is Mr. Jules Aso on food security and agro-processing. Let's take a break now. More reports when we return. Glad to have you back. In the meantime, Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency, NERSA, is warning of possible threat to food security in Nigeria as a result of unprecedented flood level of the River Niger in Niger Republic, which is fast flowing down to Nigeria. Onenge Finefest reports that greater devastation is to be expected in states on the bank of River Niger.
The level of River Niger as at 7:30 a.m. 10th September 2020 is 7.01 meters in Niamey, Niger Republic. This means more flooding is expected in Nigeria with greater consequence than the 6.60 meters river level that wreaked havoc in several states in August and early September. Now this flood is expected to hit Nigeria in 14 days.
Which means the devastation we witnessed for about 2 weeks now in Kebbi, in Kwara, in Niger states, and then eventually Lokoja and other states. More is still on its way advancing down to Nigeria. So the major implication now is that Nigeria might be facing food scarcity when the agricultural lands have been overwhelmed, washed away.
Highly vulnerable states include states that are contiguous to the River Niger, such as Kebbi, Niger, Kwara, Kogi, Anambra, Edo, Delta, Rivers, and Bayelsa. The River Benue is also being monitored at the moment, and unlike River Niger that has Kainji and Jaba dams, River Benue has no dam. And should the Lagdo Dam in Cameroon release excess water, additional flooding will hit Nigeria from River Benue. NESA is also warning that with many more days of rainfall, urban and flash floods are expected in September and October. In Abuja, Onengiye Fineface, NTA News.
Thank you very much, Onenge, for that report. Following President Muhammadu Buhari's advice to members of the recently inaugurated Executive, Legislature and Party Consultative Committee to further align objectives of the party and be alive to electoral promises, the committee has held its first meeting to sharpen ways of moving the country forward. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
As one government, we must further align ourselves and be alive to our electoral promises.
That was Arkansas President Muhammadu Buhari on the 31st of August this year, when the Tripartite Party Executive and Legislature Consultative Committee was being inaugurated. Here, members of the committee are arriving at the presidential villa 10 days after the inauguration for their first meeting. They were received by the chairman of the committee, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. The president, on the 31st of August, expressed his firm belief in the doctrine of separation of power, said the practice should be harmonious checks and balances, devoid of bitterness and petty rivalry. It was a closed-door meeting which lasted for almost 3 hours. And here is the Senate president after the meeting.
Are all together in this, trying to shape very strategic means of delivering services to Nigerian people. We want to ensure that there's good governance continuously for the entire period of our tenure and subsequent years that will be in government by the grace of God. And therefore, this first meeting was to look at those critical areas that we need to concentrate and focus on how to ensure that we improve on the way and manner in which we deliver services to the Nigerian people.
The president, during the inauguration of this committee, said he placed great faith in the committee to help improve governance and achievements to the people. And this trust, the committee says, they will not betray. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
Many thanks, Jide. And from the judiciary is a report that the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Ibrahim Tanko Muhammad, has inaugurated 85 judges that will entertain petitions that may arise from the forthcoming governorship elections in Edo and Ondo states. The CJN, while administering oath of office, asked the judges to conduct themselves within the ambit of the law to have their names each in gold. Vera Chumba now reports.
Sections 285 of the Constitution and 133 of the Electoral Act, it is mandatory for election petition tribunals to be constituted not later than 14 days before an election is held. The tribunal members were constituted by the President of Court of Appeal, Justice Monica Dongban-Mensah, in line with Section 1, Subsection 3 of the 6th Schedule of the 1999 Constitution, which empowers her to appoint election tribunal judges. Chief Justice of Nigeria, who administered the oath of office on the judges, said they should consider themselves worthy to be entrusted with the responsibility of deciding the fate of those who would be contesting offices in Edo and Ondo states, in addition to other political offices in other states, by virtue of the forthcoming elections.
Trust is a burden, and you must discharge it with utmost sincerity, honesty, and transparency.
The CJN noted that temptations and intimidations and even sheer blackmail may be unleashed on them, but as thoroughbred judicial officers,
do what is right in our law, and you will have your names etched in the gold.
Section 258, subsection 6 of the Constitution is to the effect that the tribunal must deliver its judgment within 180 days from the date the petition is filed. The Edo governorship election is slated for 19th of September, while that of Ondo is billed for 10th of October. In Abuja, Viera Chumuba, NTA News.
Many thanks, Vera. Let's talk health now. Chairman of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, Boss Mustafa, says President Muhammadu Buhari has approved additional 8.9 billion naira hazard allowance for all frontline health workers. He made the disclosure during the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 briefing in Abuja. Also, contrary to the media reports, the task force said Russia has not supplied Nigeria its COVID-19 vaccine, which is still at the third stage of clinical trials. The task force informed that in order to scale up risk communication about COVID-19 at the grassroots, it met with northern traditional rulers led by Sultan of Sokoto in Abuja.
With the private sector to facilitate the process of testing a week after arrival in a seamless manner. This is driven largely by 1, deployment of technology, 2, freedom to pick a certified private laboratory of choice, and 3, delivering the service at minimal cost to government.
When it comes to capacity, what really matters are 2 things. 1, are the people within that environment wearing masks or not? And then 2, the distance between you and the next person.
Minister of State Health Olorunniyi Mamora disclosed that 10% of positive cases in Nigeria are from children, and that PTF is working with the Aviation Ministry to address teething problems associated with the assumption of international flights. PTF appeals to state governments to carry out risk assessment of all schools and put in place safety measures in preparation for reopening of schools. Students, parents, and school administrators are urged to comply with non-pharmaceutical measures when schools eventually resume. Meanwhile, the role of traditional rulers in the fight against COVID-19 pandemic in Nigeria has taken center stage. This came to fore at a meeting between the Northern Traditional Leaders Council and members of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 in Abuja. Anthony Forsen reports.
The traditional leaders, being close to the people, have been identified as very strategic in the fight against the disease. At this meeting with the Northern Traditional Leaders, Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed, who stood in for the chairman of the Presidential Task Force and Secretary to Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, commended the monarchs for their role in sensitizing their people to the reality of COVID-19.
It is for these reasons that the PTF on COVID-19 sought to deepen this collaboration with the NTLC in order to further accelerate our efforts in continuing to engage our communities to stop the prevailing community transmission of the pandemic.
Minister of Health Osage Ehanire gave an overview of the COVID-19 situation in Nigeria, despite the drop in the number of cases as the economy is being opened gradually. However, called for caution.
We are doing all we can to prepare our own not so strong health system for the worst, while we strive for the best. Nigeria has conducted not quite 500 million out of the 2 million tests targets, with over 55,000 positive and over 1,000 fatalities so far. Despite what appears to be declining test results that seem to give us hope of flattening the curve, we are not yet out of the woods.
I'm glad because even from moving from 2 laboratories at the beginning of this to nearly 67 labs now, in less than 6 months, Nigeria has performed extremely well. The state of preparedness for isolation, care, and treatment, if you're looking at our numbers, positivity rates are down, the case fatality ratios are down. So we are well off because we are now carrying more, we're able to do better. So it shows that they have done a lot of work.
His Eminence, the Sultan of Sokoto, assured that traditional leaders, being close to the people, will remain committed to the fight against COVID-19.
We're trying to do our best by being role models. You can't see me publicly without my face mask, even though I have my inherited amount from my forefathers. But I still wear this to show that yes, COVID-19 is real.
We really cannot leave this all to government. We need to reach out to individuals in our communities so that we get assistance. There is need for a large quantity of masks, sanitizers, and so on.
There were goodwill messages from development partners. The collaboration between the PTF and the traditional rulers is aimed at instilling community acceptance about COVID-19 and the observance of the protocols as a way of preventing transmission. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
And that's the news package. Thank you for your time. We'll now leave you with this message. Connect with NTA and stand against rape and rapists. I'm Obiageli Goke.